At first glance, this little one-street town might look like any other in the Scottish countryside. But when this is the most popular shop for miles around, you know you're in the whiskey capital of the world.
In Dufton, there are more distilleries in close proximity to each other than anywhere else in the world, so you are never too far from single malt.
But don't take my word for it. Welcome to Dufton.
Dufton is called the whisky capital of the world because we have so many distilleries around about us. We're actually called the Seven Stills in the Seven Hills because you've got 7 of the main distilleries around the main 7 hills. We all love it, we all love it. Everyone enjoys it, it's a social thing as well.
And in this town, literally everything's about the whiskey, including the ice cream.
I was probably 18 when I first drank my whiskey. I'll say that because we're on camera.
Slàinte means cheers in Scots Gaelic, and this whole region is full of good cheer.
Exceptional products require exceptional ingredients, and Scotch whisky is no exception. Here in the heart of Speyside, Scotland, these very waters that flow through the River Spey make this region not just rich in its landscape, but also in its whiskey. In fact, if you look at the water, it almost looks like whiskey. But I'm actually not here just to look. I'm here on a journey of taste, from grain to barrel to bottle.
The Speyside trademark is a complex blend of flavors, some sweet, some smooth, all magnificent. And to discover these flavors, I'm headed back to the Glenfiddich distillery to get a real taste of Speyside single malt whiskey.
So what gives whiskey its color, its flavor, and its complexity? Is it the water? Is it the grain? Or is it the wood? But hey, I'm still a learner. I don't have the answers. The man who does is Malt Master Brian Kinsman, and he's going to give me another whiskey masterclass. So what we've established is that all of you here at Glenfiddich are mavericks, and I'd like to know about some of the more innovative and interesting things you do here.
Well, we like to think we push the boundaries and we try new stuff. If you think of Glenfiddich was the first single malt, so the first distillery to say we're going to package this and sell it as a high value, unique product from a single source. And then over the years we've been doing lots of different experiments with casks and so on, and we're actually standing in the Solera warehouse, which is probably one of our single biggest game changers in terms of how you make whiskey, which is the Glenfiddich 15-year-old Solera. So we can take a walk over and look at the Solera vat if you'd like.
I'd love to do that. The famous Solera vat, a custom-made giant which contains liquid from European and American oaks that once contained sherry and bourbon. The resulting blend is matured for at least 15 years before being bottled and sold as the Glenfiddich 15-year-old.
So this is the Solera vat. We built this in 1998, installed it, and back then we filled it right to the top with 15-year-old Glenfiddich. And ever since that very first time it was filled, we've never emptied that vat. The most we ever take out is half. We take half away for bottling, and then we refill it again with more 15 of the same recipe. So ultimately, the contents of that vat have been getting rotated and mixed ever since it was first put in 1998. So it's a completely unique product.
Wow.
And we can go up the top and I can let you smell the whiskey as it comes out.
This whiskey may be old, but the spirit of innovation is very 21st century.
So here we are at the top of the vat, and if I open this up, it's full at the moment, so stick your head in. You get that beautiful smell.
That is a large shot of whiskey.
It's about 30,000 litres, and as I say, That's it full.
Yeah.
So it'll sit there for a couple of days, then the guys will take half of it away, put it into marrying tuns, and then the whole process starts again. And what we're trying to make sure is that we get that lovely consistency, the flavour. So I'll drop this in and you can actually have a smell up close.
It's quite a different take on drawing water from the village well, I have to say.
Slightly more flavoursome.
Yes.
So you can see that beautiful colour, all extracted from the oak. And this isn't a challenge, you don't have to drink it all, but just have a good old smell of that. So it's say, around about 58% ABV.
Yeah. So this is not what I would be pouring out of a bottle?
Essentially, it is in terms of the flavour, but we would add a bit more water. So before we bottle it, we would take it down to 40%. Because arguably it's a bit too strong at the moment. But all that lovely vanilla, toffee, fruitiness, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I may not have got the chance to dive into the Solera vat, but I am very eager to dive into the actual Glenfiddich tasting experience. It's time to exit this warehouse and enter into a realm of pure flavor.
So this is the fruit of your labor.
Yes, this is where it all happens.
That's where it all happens. What are we tasting?
Just some of the different ways that the whisky can change in cask. You can see straight away you've got 4 different examples there, all slightly different colour. So we start with the sort of palest. This is refill American oak.
A refill cask is one that has already been used to mature whiskey.
Love it.
Ooh.
Now every time this cask is refilled, less and less of the original liquid is present.
The oak's been used a few times, so it's not dominating the whiskey. You get that nice Glenfiddich note that you get when you go through fermentation. You get the pears, the apple, the sort of fruitiness. You can see there, on day 1, these were identical, absolutely identical.
Oh.
15 years later, something light, floral, delicate.
Just based on what wood it's exposed to.
Exactly. What wood, what species of oak, what was in the cask previously, how long it's been in there, how active it is, so you get a fundamental change in flavour. So we looked at the Solera vat, you saw that huge vat, we smelt it. So these are almost like the components that come out of there. And this is what we call the new wood. And those 3 whiskies there make up the building blocks that goes into the Solera vat every time we fill it.
Incredible.
No.
And then you combine them in different proportions, obviously.
Exactly. And that becomes effectively the Solera recipe.
Right.
Finally, my first taste of a Solera vat whiskey.
Beautiful.
I could swear I heard music after that first sip. Now all these magical flavors are attributed to the hero, in this case, the casks. But do they have a shelf life or a cask life if you prefer? A virgin cask is very active and bursts with flavors, but multiple refills over the decades result in even lighter colored liquid until one day the cask no longer imparts any real flavor and must be retired. But given that a cask typically lasts for 2 or 3 fills, that is 20 to 30 years, it certainly makes for a rich and productive life.
And I saw some of the casks, they were charred inside.
Yeah, so that's what's driving the flavour. But when you char it and you toast it, what you're doing is you're breaking down that surface and you're creating all these lovely colours and lovely flavours.
So every cask is charred?
Every cask is toasted.
Toasted,
and most are also charred.
There are so many different colours. Can you tell just by looking at a colour what kind of cask a whiskey has come from?
You do need to nose it because you might get surprised. You might think, well, this is very pale. It's going to be immature, it's going to be lacking. But actually it's not, it's lovely, it's got a lovely vanilla. And similarly, you can guess that's probably going to be a sherry cask. But until you get your nose in there, you don't know for sure.
Fantastic. Well, Brian, it's been such an education. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I have one more request for you, is if you could sign my bottle of whiskey here.
Of course, absolutely.
The taste is sublime, the experience unforgettable, and the best part is I get to go home with my very own signature blend of single malt, Slunge.